And at how to gather information, what are the theories through which we have the ability to gather or to collect certain information about something. This methodology, it is what's called as epistemology. Okay, so it is their own perception of these theories that they justified for themselves the methods and the aims of gathering this information and presented it or reproducing it into their own people. So it is, in some sense, it is a kind of a domination, and it is a kind of manipulation and restructuring of the existing culture of the Orient and having an authority over the Orient. يعني هي سياسة سلطوية يعني تحكمية في طريقة تفكير الشرق عن طريق يعني عايز اقول هو عندها something like monopolization يعني احتكار المعرفة. They probably might have thought that the Orient, the people in the Orient, they do not know about themselves in as much as the people in the West, they know about them. This is what we call as the monopolization of information. I know it, you don't know it, but I know. That's why they have this kind of misconception and stereotypes about the Orient and especially about Islam. So on the academic level, it is a kind of an incorporate institution for dealing with the Orient. Making sense of it. What is the Orient? I explain to my people, what is the Orient? And making a statement about it. You know, when I say, what is the Orient? I, resort to the think tanks who are working for me, and I authorize them to make statements and declarations about what is the Orient in the political circles. And even settling it, because I am the superpower, I have the superiority in this world, so I have the ability to settle even the disputes in the Middle East, like the peace process and the roadmap, as they call it. It is something that it is being devised, dominated, controlled, and even stopped by the superpower. So we have the authority to do it. It's our business. It's our maybe colony. This is something that we are capable and in charge of doing it. So it is a kind of like this kind of manipulation and controlling and restructuring. I say that we're not happy about Iraq as it stands now. We would like to divide it into 3 different territories. One for the Shiites, one for the Sunnis, and one for the Kurds. I think this is work. And I was working in the same place with the person who was maybe the mastermind of this division plan. And he's younger than me in age, but he's very much hostile against anything which is Islamic and against anything which is Arabic, and he was the master plan for this. He said, one day I talked to him about this and said, I think this will be fair on everybody. Everybody will have their own resources and their own land, so there will not be more conflicts in the Middle East, especially in Iraq. Especially when we take into account the heterogeneous nature of the people of Iraq, so this would be more suitable for them. So they have even the authority and the power of restructuring the Orient in different ways. So if we ask the question, who is the Orientalist now? How can we say that this is an Orientalist? What are maybe the symptoms that can indicate to us that he's an Orientalist? In a general way, we can think that the Orientalist is anyone who is interested in the Orient in general, by studying it, by examining it, by being or living in it, by writing about it. All these people can be included under the umbrella of Orientalists. Right. Now I come to the question that's, sorry, your name? Shema just raised. Okay, Luqman.
Sorry, one more time, can you repeat that? How do you distinguish the Oriental?
The definition here.
The last thing you said.
The definition of the Orientalist.
Right, you know, the Orientalist is anyone who has an interest in the Orient. It could be someone who is researching material about the Orient. Someone who is writing about the Orient, like being a political analyst or so. Someone who is like going into the Orient and collecting information for any particular purpose. Anyone who has this interest in the Orient can be, generally speaking, labeled as an Orientalist. Well, the Orient is not just for Arabs. I'm talking about the Orient in general. This would include Asia and maybe some parts of. Yes, of course. But it only came late that Orientalism was more narrowed down into the study of the Middle East. Everything that has a relation with Islam. So parts of the world which was formerly included within the Orient, like Japan, like India, like China, were dropped from this discipline because they had no much input into understanding the Orient at that time. Okay. So Shama just asked us, why are we, doing all of this? Why can't we just take our bags and go home? Which would be very comfortable to me. And you are one, wouldn't you?
I think this should be.
After Edward Said, all the postmodern studies about the cultural studies, philosophical studies, religious studies, sociological studies, anthropological studies, all these disciplines in the critical objective way were more or less based on the understanding of Edward Said's Orientalism book. Because now he opened the eyes of the people in the West about a more objective and an unbiased way of presenting the other, al-akhar. How to present the other in our culture, in our literature. كل الكتب اللي اتكلمت بعد كده مثلا هو ادوارد سعيد كتب كتاب تاني عن covering Islam في الميديا. Look how Islam is covered. For example, look at the picture. Someone who is taking a photo of a militant, supposedly he's a Muslim, carrying a Kalashnikov, and he's aiming his gun at something here. And he's just waiting for the photographer to take this photo. This is not a real one, but it's just like a replicate. Okay? This is about how Islam is covered, the religion of militancy, the religion of violence, and so forth. That's why he developed this book after that. And Elizabeth Paul, as well, after him, she wrote a book about reporting Islam. These are all about the media, how Islam is presented in the Western media, and so forth. And when you, for example, watch the BBC or the CNN or other Western channels, TV channels, you will see they look at the remotest parts of the country where people are suffering from poverty and ignorance and all kinds of vices in this community, and they are presented as the Islam or the Muslim society, right? Well, it's misrepresentation, not overgeneralization. It's misrepresentation due to the misconceptions and the stereotypes that they have about Islam. And it is, to some extent, it has been much listened in the Western media, but they still exist there because of the lobbies coming from different